Good evening, everybody. Looks like everybody's in place and ready to go. Welcome. Call the trustee meeting of October 18th. We have an agenda to approve tonight. Do I hear well, let's see, Vanessa, we need to call the roll first. Please call the roll.
Chair Milliken?
Here.
Vice Chair Davis? Here. Treasurer DeVarty?
DeVarty here.
Secretary Hatcher?
Here.
Trustee Fleming?
Here.
Trustee Landau? Trustee McVeigh-Morton?
Here.
Thank you. Now, taking a look at that agenda that's in front of us, do I hear a motion for its approval?
So moved.
And support. Is there any discussion about the agenda? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? The agenda is approved. Thank you. Tab A in the packet tonight, the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the minutes of the July 19, 2022 monthly meeting as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Support.
And I have support. Is there any discussion about the minutes, corrections, observations?
September 27th is what it should say.
Yes. We already approved July a couple of months ago. These are September minutes that we're approving tonight. Thank you for pointing that out. And just for the record, do I have a motion to approve the September minutes?
Yes.
And support. And I don't think there's any further discussion. Are you all in favor of that?
Yes.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. Citizen participation. WCC Education Association, Ms. Kissel would like to address us. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good evening. It is October 2022. Now, the readers, I'm in between them, right? This month, we have begun a greater focus on our adjunct faculty. During the pandemic, our current adjunct list and adjunct wait list were set to the side as we dealt with more pressing issues. In winter 2022, we were finally able to revisit all things adjunct, and we're pleased to offer adjunct status to 11 faculty who had qualified for the waitlist years before. Due to the continuing attrition, 10 more faculty have been offered adjunct positions, clearing our 2019 waitlist. In this process, and with the enormous help of Chris Mahaley, we've been able to clarify the list of current adjuncts and clean up our 2020 waitlist. We will now begin the arduous work of establishing the 2021 and 2022 waitlists. I say all this to underscore the value in working together to manage this issue. The WCCA has offered to help with the waitlist process so that we may understand and may be able to suggest ways to better manage this task, a task that had been for years prior managed by a single person in human resources. With the continued changes in staffing, it's so important that we have transparent and sustainable practices for our work. And certainly the pandemic brought to light many of the areas in our working lives that could be made more efficient. Regarding grievances, the WCCEA has 2 grievances sent to arbitration. While I had a chance to talk to VP Swick about the arbitration set for November, we remain at an impasse regarding a settlement. Having also talked with President Belanca, the WCCA is open for any additional discussions on this issue. The WCCA is also actively involved in working with several of the deans to manage faculty issues and student concerns in a timely fashion. And so I'll end as I usually do, something insightful. However, I was struggling this month, so I dipped back into a book that I've picked up many times over the years and found this from Lao Tzu. I have 3 precious things that I hold fast and prize. The first is gentleness, the second is frugality, the third is humility, which keeps me from putting myself before others. Be gentle and you can be bold, be frugal and you can be liberal. Avoid putting yourself before others and you can become a leader among men, and I'll add all people. So this is what I hope we will all attempt to do each day, for to be in the service of others, making a positive impact, is certainly a worthy goal. And with that, I do have to say that I have had to pick up a class on Tuesday nights due to faculty issues, so I'm going to be leaving shortly to go teach class, and that will probably keep me from next month's meeting, but we'll sort that out later. Thank you.
Julie?
Question before you go?
Yes. How many adjuncts are there?
We have 98, 96, and then with our brand new group of 9 or 10, we'll be just over our 106 limit, and then we'll see where we are.
106 is the limit.
106 is our threshold.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments in the House this evening? Seeing none, I've been advised that there are no written communications tonight, so we'll move ahead. Turn to an annual grants update from VP Tucker, please. Welcome.
Good evening, and it just appears. It's my pleasure to provide an overview of our grant activity over the last fiscal year. It's an annual report to the board. I want to remind the board that we prepare and submit grant proposals and applications from a variety of funding sources, both public and private, always in alignment to achieve the college's mission, our strategic priorities, and goals. We have a process internally that looks to get input across the college through a permanent standing grants committee. Our grants committee is made up of a number of vice presidents and deans, academic deans that represent their departments, at monthly grant meetings where we talk about our current grants that are awarded and their respective performance, but then also look at new funding ideas, needs, and potential funding sources. We receive funding from a number of sources within our report tonight. Just to give you a snapshot, both federal funds, state funds, as well as public and private foundations, as well as companies and other service organizations. Tonight, there are three buckets of grants that I want to talk about. First will be new grant awards, and then we'll look at recurring awards and annual awards. Over the last fiscal year, we received just shy of $1.1 million in new grant awards. It's important to note that there are a number of grants that you'll see tonight that are ARA money, American Rescue Plan Act, that come to the college as a grant, but they're dispersed to either students or to operating expenses. So the first was the American Rescue Plan Act. We received $915,000 and provided additional stimulus funding for the college. The Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation, the next 4-year phase, which was started in 2021, but of course continues through 2026. That's a National Science Foundation grant of about $215,000. And as we talk about our STEM Scholars Program, this primarily funds a pathway to help those students who started WCC be able to transfer to 4-year schools. It funds a faculty stipend for our faculty member, Susan Dentel, and then 2 summer bridge instructors, with the goal of increasing minority participation in STEM fields. We received a H-1B grant award through the Department of Labor by way of SEMCA, also known as WIN. That's a 4-year grant, $179,000, with the purpose of increasing the number of U.S. citizens that are prepared to walk into advanced manufacturing, IT, and transportation jobs. Does fund 1 part-time staff, as well as provides training to faculty to be able to develop new pathways that are emerging. If you ever come to the college, probably soon, not anymore, but throughout the summertime, our motorcycle safety program that we've had for a little over 2 decades. This year, we received a significant amount of money, $82.5, to replace half of the aging fleet. So we have around 40 motorcycles, and we're going to be able to replace around 20 of those, and I think that procurement process has already started. As we've mentioned, D3C3, Detroit Drives Degrees Community College Collaborative. Well, we'll talk about the larger award later on tonight. We did receive a planning grant. First time really in our history that a foundation gave money to the college to be able to plan to ask them for money. So we were excited about that, $60,000, which provided some funding to develop the proposal, which is a large endeavor over the next 3 years. And then as we continue to reposition our work at Park Ridge, Washtenaw County Office of Economic and Community Development, they noted that work and provided us $55,000 to focus on youth programs, but then also our new focus of having certified teachers. This funded those 3 teachers that we had over the summer in our summer camp. Continuing that STEM focus, and of course you'll see there are a lot of acronyms, but the practices and research and student pathways and education from community college and transfer students, also known as Prospect STEM, was a funded small award by way of National Science Foundation through Michigan State, 48 grand, and it was a case study to provide on how we can expand those STEM partnerships, much like what we're doing with our other STEM programs. This does provide that stipend for our faculty member, Susan Dentel, and we have a number of student services staff, Allie and Tamara, who are working on that project. The Ann Arbor Community Foundation issued an award by way of the Barfield Family Fund, $14,000, which funded summer programming. And as we've talked about in our previous report on Park Ridge, this really allowed that summer camp to go to the next level, to have, of course, Spanish instructors, to have trips every weekend, every Friday with their students. And I wanted to note that we had some increases in some renewal awards, Carl D. Perkins, motorcycle safety, and adult basic education. The next bucket is multi-year grants, so grants that are awarded that go across multiple fiscal years. This was about $16.6 million. A large amount of that was Rescue Act dollars. A little over 10.6 went to over 2 fiscal years, but in fiscal year 22, about $7.9 million, that was direct funding for students. But then also, as we look at funding for the college operational dollars, while the overall award over multiple fiscal years was $10.1 million, we had about $7.5 million that came in through this fiscal year, and that funded 1 full-time and 1 part-time staff. But then also the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, total award 9.8 over multiple fiscal years, and now it's towards the end. We received a little over $9,500. Our Title III grant, which has a 5-year award, $1.4 million over the 5 years, but about $426,000 was this year. That funds 5 full-time positions, mainly advisors, and then 1 part-time position. And interim VPI Vega and Grace, who's the manager of that area, they are the leads of that grant. But then also STEM, as we mentioned, kind of trying to renew our focus and increase our focus on STEM fields. Total award was $1.2 million over multiple years, and then about $250,000 this year. And that is where the stipend for Susan Dettel comes from, as she's the lead faculty. And we have a number of partnerships across the state that look to try to provide scholarships for those STEM-focused students who want to transfer to a 4-year school in a STEM career. CCAT, which we've mentioned to the board before, a multiple year annual award, $780,000, but we received a little over $100,000 this year. VP Mueller and Al Leitz, they're the 2 leads on that grant, and that provides money that oftentimes is not available for non-credit training, to provide training around technicians, but then also exposure to boot camps that show students both in a number of elementary schools and middle schools across Washtenaw County about what are the future of mobility. And we actually just launched a camp at Park Ridge 2 weeks ago that's exposing individuals to robotics. Youth in Transition, the state of Michigan and Department of Human Services, we receive a little over $130,000 a year. It does fund a full-time advisor and coach that provides support to students that are aging out of the foster care system, as well as provides independent living skills coaches, really to support those students as they try to pursue higher education.
Question?
Could you go back to that slide real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
On the children or the students here have aged out of foster care. Do you know of other community colleges have this type of program?
It's a Linda Blakey question.
I know that you have ethnic program is supported because I'm actually a state grant to apply for. This is actually going on a new grant application and we have to do this.
Okay, great. Just a side note here, I was watching, the news earlier today, and, there's a judge in Detroit that was highlighted regarding her, taking on the task of dealing with youth who have aged out of foster care and, how they're sleeping in offices and other places that is not in a place that they should be sleeping in. So I'm just wondering, and also, how are we reaching these students who have aged out? Do they identify themselves, or? Okay, well, great, thank you. Sounds good.
Okay, I've got a follow-up on trustee McBain.
Microphone in.
How many students are in this category? Do we have a sense? Okay.
Oh my God,
Is
that
it-
like you said.
well,
My goodness.
I'm just wondering, is it a large cohort of students here?
Move that restricted.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Please proceed.
We talked about the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation, multi-year grant. $27,000 this year mainly covered a small faculty stipend for Susan Detail, and as I mentioned, summer bridge instructors. Our East Asia, our National Resource Center, which was the Department of Education through a partnership with the University of Michigan. It's a very small award, but it does cover a part-time instructor. Dean Britton is the lead on that grant, and what we see is that continue to drive enrollment increases in those courses that we have that part-time instructor slated for. Closing the Skills Gap was a multi-year award through WIN by way of the Department of Labor, provides funding for a part-time position. I serve as the lead on that grant, but it also incentivizes employers to grow their apprenticeship programs. We've been seeing great success. It is a 4-year grant that ends in 2024, and we're about halfway through the employer incentives already. And so we're seeing a lot of success there. And then, of course, as you might remember, Park Ridge, we were awarded around $58,000 this fiscal year, $60,000 overall to provide digital literacy training to both young people, their guardians, and even some seniors in the community. And that's where we gave away the laptops. Trustee Hatcher.
Are we having any success increasing the minority enrollment in apprenticeship programs?
I would say yes and no. Yes, in the fact that there is an increased focus on looking for minorities, both gender and race, across our apprenticeships. The no side is that we can't mandate it, for the employers, but we are seeing additional interest. And I know when the ironworkers were here, they showcased their women in apprenticeship, which still was small but was larger than in years past. But it is something that we're intentionally trying to do and bring awareness to. But it's really up to the local to be able to baby steps. NACE, the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship. This was a very interesting grant that we received for $23,000. A little under $10,000 was used this fiscal year, and we actually had a pitch that was given specifically for the trades with an HVAC focus. So we had funding that was really provided for us to stand up different boot camps and workshops that would show those individuals who were, in this example, in the HVAC program, how to start their own business. And they were paired up with mentors who were existing business owners who had experience in the field, and we're going to help them jumpstart after they graduated and got experience on how they may be able to start their own business. The last bucket is renewing annual grants. So these are grants in which that we have to go for annual renewal, and our hope is that we're always successful. Carl D. Perkins for vocational education is our Perkins allocation through the state. That's an annual award. We've had it for decades. That has been increasing over each year. It used to have around $600,000. Now we're just shy of $750,000. Dean Samolsky serves as the Dean of Occupational Education for the state, so she's the lead on that. It does cover a portion of 2 full-time staff that focus on CTE careers and making sure that their students are successful, and then a number around 8 part-time staff. Adult basic education, Dean Johnson and of course Bonnie Truin have managed this program for a number of years. This is also a program that has seen continual increases and is constantly seen as one of the best programs in the state. It does cover 2 full-time staff, 15 part-time staff, and that's essentially our GED program, and then of course expanding that in Ypsilanti. Our SBDC, which is of course award-winning, this is a annual renewal, little under $500,000. VP Mueller and Charlie Penner. This covers all of the staff with the exception of the director. So 4 full-time staff, 2 part-time staff. It's important to note that while we are initially at Washtenaw County, because of our great performance at the state, they asked us probably about 5 or 6 years ago to expand into Livingston, Jackson, Hillsdale, and Lenawee. So we have a presence there by way of staff that support business growth. And then, of course, as I mentioned, motorcycle safety, wanted to give you a overall snapshot. That's around $221,000. So that was in addition to the $82,000 we got for new fleet. That is covered, of course, under VP Mueller's area and Jim Higginbottom, who's a longtime coordinator of that program. It covers his full salary and then, of course, 9 part-time instructors. And they train in basic motorcycle safety as well as advanced motorcycle safety. I know in previous years the board has asked for kind of a snapshot of positions that are fully funded by grants. So we have 15 positions at the college that are full-time, that are fully funded, and then 37 part-time, which does include those small faculty stipends like Susan Dentale and others. And then, of course, we have a number of contracted instructors, which have a contract each semester, and that's for our motorcycle training program. So as we look at all the dollars we received in fiscal year 22, it's just shy of a little more than $19.7 million. A lot of that money was COVID, but then we also look at, we had some new grant growth, some multi-year, and then of course some renewing annual grants. Last but not least, want to just kind of provide a snapshot of grants that we've submitted. Umtree, the CCAT grant is up for renewal. We have all points of focus are looking that we're going to be able to get renewed for another 4 years. And that money provides dollars to provide non-credit training. The Michigan Health Endowment Fund, if you might remember our boot camp that we do in healthcare, they've asked for us to be a partner, that if they get awarded this grant, we will provide the exclusive training for the area as they look to hire 250 individuals over the next 3 years. And then, of course, motorcycle safety, we are looking to be refunded in 2023. We just submitted that. There is an economic stabilization program for COVID-impacted micro enterprises. This is led by the state SBDC, and they've asked for us to be a partner. That's $300,000 application. Michigan Works Business Services Grant, which we just got the final okay on this. That's $122,000. That funds one position within our SBDC that provides outreach to specialized businesses in Washtenaw County and Lenawee and Hillsdale. And then an East Asia grant, we're up for a third round of renewal for that particular grant.
Excuse me.
Question, please.
Can you explain, go back to the slide, can you explain a little bit more about the East Asian grant? I'm not sure what I'm reading.
So that was the grant in which we received funding for a part-time instructor. It's a partnership with the University of Michigan to try to grow the number of individuals that have access to that second language Both Japanese and Korean would be two languages that we add to what we have currently available. And we, of course, have verbal approval, but we look to be refunded for this. It's been a grant that we've had for a number of years now.
Okay, but, so how is U of M involved in this? Because they're the grant writer?
They're the lead, and
The lead,
they have a community
But
college
lead with
partner, and we're the community college partner.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Trustee Landau?
Yeah, you mentioned, I think you saw it showed $16 million of COVID money in grants. Is that like gone for the foreseeable future? Everything's okay. We're on our own.
We are. And then the Detroit Drive Degrees, which we mentioned previously. So we have an ask in for a little over $2 million. That will be over 3 years. All roads are pointing to on November 17th. That'll be approved. And then we have mentioned previously around our earmark grant, which would be through Debbie Dingle's office. That is still moving through the phases. We do know that the last bill that was released had $2.522 million for WCC. So we're hearing that that'll probably get approved during lame duck session after the election. Last but not least, we did submit a proposal. The county has, of course, stimulus dollars that they have until 2027 to expend. So we have a proposal in that would really uplift our HBCU pathway program to scale that down to middle school to get them exposed to the opportunity. So 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, both at Park Ridge Community Center and across Ypsilanti. And then, of course, further support the work that we're doing at Park Ridge. We have $231,000 ask, and we actually will find out on November 8th about that particular proposal. This could not be done without a very, very small dream team. And as you notice, out of the millions of dollars of asks that we have out there right now, it's one professional at this college who writes those grants. And I believe that Amanda Peters is here. I want to ask her to stand.
Please stand up.
She manages our very large grant office of one person, herself. So we're grateful to her. And then Karen Parker, who's our restricted funds manager, and the entire finance team. They work hand in hand on literally monthly meetings and sometimes bi-weekly meetings, making sure that we're on pace for the grants that we have and the grants that we're going after. And then our grants committee, who kind of sets the strategic direction and, essentially approves all the grants that we submit.
Do these funders ask for an accountability at the end of their grant period? Is there a final report sort of thing?
Absolutely, and it's usually not at the end. It's generally, in some cases, we have quarterly reports. Mm-hmm. So many of these grants that are federally funded, we have quarterly finance and quarterly programmatic reports. But at a minimum, they're an annual report, and then there's a closeout at the end. Some of them have requirements for external evaluators. So our larger grants will have external evaluators. We have a contract with a local provider that does that for us. So we every quarter at a minimum, but annually we're
It's a lot of work.
It is.
How many of the grants originate in Michigan, and how many are national in scope?
I would say that our current awards is probably 70-30. So we've got 70% that are out, federally funded, but come through the state, and then 30% that are just state funded.
Thank you. Any other questions, trustees?
I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
And your team.
Thank you.
It's a nice
It's
report to be able
effort.
to deliver. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to some of our monthly reports now. The personnel recommendations are in tab B in your packet tonight. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the personnel recommendations as submitted. Do Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I have support. Is there any discussion? Trustee Hatcher,
I'm here.
thank you.
I have a question about the Learning Commons. What is the Learning Commons? This is Brian Horn is hired to run that?
That's the touring center attached to the library.
Attached to the library? Uh-huh, okay. And I'm assuming that everything under student and academic services is going, that they're all going to the hub.
Like the hub.
The hub. The hub.
What's the hub?
Are they all going to the hub?
That's a hub, yes.
Yeah. All right.
We cleared that up.
Yeah. I guess that's my only questions.
Any other questions?
Well, I don't have a question. I just want to say the people who are leaving for various reasons, I just want to say thank you for your time and commitment to the college during your time here. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. Financial reports for September 2022. VP Barnes.
So I'll go over the financial reports as Chair Milliken said for the first quarter of the fiscal year. So let me just scroll down. So starting with revenues, our fall tuition revenue, as you can see, is about $600,000 favorable, or 6%. While this is favorable, I'm sure the board will remember that there's a trend of actually decreasing enrollment and decreasing credit hours, and that continues. We actually are 1.6% below our credit hours for last year at the end of the first quarter, but that is better than what we had expected. We had budgeted for 5.1%. So we're doing better than we expected, but we're still on that downward trend, although the slope isn't as steep as we had expected. Continuing down for student fees, also favorable. We're getting more people on campus, and also we're simply conservative when we estimate student fees because we don't have a good way to estimate yet accurately things like contact hour fees. So in total, about $1.2 million of tuition and fees favorable, which I expect at this point more or less to be permanent. In terms of local property taxes, 3.9 million favorable so far. We will end the year slightly favorable here, but a lot of that is timing to this point, 3.9 million. The cash is simply coming in faster than it has in past years. So it's just most of it is timing in nature. I'll also point out state appropriations pretty much right in line with what we expected in budget, and I would expect that generally that will stay in line with budget throughout the year. Investment income, importantly, there's a lot of negative things that happen when interest rates rise, but one of the positive things is that we get a lot more money on our investments. So you can see that we're up $123,000 just through the first quarter. I would expect that to continue, if not accelerate, as interest rates have continued to rise. So in total revenue at this point at 5.3, I would say that roughly 2 million of that will probably be permanent. The rest of that is simply timing at this point. Looking down at expenditures, again at the end of the first quarter are $2.3 million favorable. Most of this, well, first the vacancies, we had reached a peak last fiscal year of about over 50 vacancies. That has come down, so we don't have as many vacancies as we had. But we are still averaging about 42 vacancies. So that is saving us some money through the first quarter until we can get those vacancies filled. Most of the rest of this is going to be timing in nature. It's still early, very early in the fiscal year, so a lot of this money has not been spent yet. And finally, I'll just point out, one, this minor amount, I'll just address Trustee Landau's question about the COVID money. This is the last of it. This $23,000 is the last of it. And then the $785,000, that's an unrealized loss. As interest rates rise, our bond values go down, but we don't really experience that loss because we don't generally sell our bonds. We hold them to maturity. That's why it says unrealized. But it's an accounting issue that we have to value our bonds at their market value. So, in summary, I think the year is starting off pretty well.
Any questions, Trustee DeVarty?
Just a question. I know enrollment tends to increase or decrease sometime for a lot of community colleges throughout the nation, depending on the state of the economy. And I'm wondering if we have any historic information for our institution, what we've seen when there's a recession in the state, if that's had an impact on our enrollment up or down. If, just looking ahead at what might be coming, not predicting anything, but wondering if we have any information that could guide us looking ahead if we do enter a recessionary period.
Yeah, we do have that information, and we'll be looking at it more closely as we prepare the forecast and budget when we get into the budget next year. I do know, and I'm sure Linda has much more information than I do, but the last severe recession in 2008, 2009 time frame, my understanding was the best years in terms of for the college in a while.
So we do see an increase when there's a recession. Okay.
This is what we call a counter-cyclical business.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
I understand
It's
that, but
counter-cyclical.
It also has an impact on our budgetary plan. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees receive the financial reports for September 2022 as follows: General Fund, Capital Fund, and combined schedule of investments, all funds. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I have support. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the Facilities Development Report. We'll call VP Beshi forward to tell us about all the good works he's involved in. Please.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll begin the report with an update on the capital projects. In regards to both the ML renovation and GL expansion, Stenco is in the process of completing the punch list items and starting to upload all the closeout documents. When those two activities are finished, the projects will be moved to a final completion status. Any questions at all on capital projects? If not, we'll move to deferred maintenance. Listed in the report is a complete list of complete or in-process projects for fiscal year 23, which total $6,742,495, leaving us with a remaining uncommitted fund balance of just a little over $884,000. Would like to just point out project number 15, which is the LA flooring replacement, one of the larger deferred maintenance projects we have on the schedule for this list. That work is scheduled to begin in December, right at the completion of fall courses and right after grades are turned in around the 20th. So that project will begin at the end of this year. And then finally, moving on to our campus repairs and maintenance update. We have completed or in process for this year under campus repairs and maintenance projects totaling $1,051,894, which is leaving us with a remaining unfunded balance of just a little over $311,000. Questions on either deferred or Campus repairs?
Campus
Trustees,
repairs.
go ahead.
It's just a simple question. How many are there EV charging stations?
So we currently have 9. And we're in the process of replacing 3 of those with dual. Well, we're going to move to 12 as soon as we replace. We have 3 that are outdated with kind of the older technology. So we're in the process of replacing, and we'll have a total of 12.
How long ago did we install those 3 that are worn out?
I believe maybe 2014, but
Well, they're entitled then, aren't they?
yeah, I think right around 2014. Any other questions?
I've got another one.
Sure.
Our retention pond that you reference in here, are we creating a swamp, or are we going to be fishing for trout out there? What's the water quality in the detention pond?
Well, I mean, as far as the project and removal of the sediment, I mean, in all seriousness, that project is done. We removed the sediment. We were waiting until just a few weeks ago for that to really dry out to where we could get. And this is the sediment that we removed, and we staged or placed over off of Lot 7. That project is about to be closed out, so it's 100% complete. But to answer your question, I mean, I will follow up and see, get a water quality test and
Thank you.
report back on
Trustee
that.
DeVardi, do you have a question?
So as I'm looking at this, anything that says complete or in process, all the funds are already committed for.
That is correct.
So when I see $884,000 uncommitted, that's available for next year, for new projects.
That is correct. For the remainder of this year.
Okay, but there's no new projects in the hopper? Or is that something that will come to the board?
We have a 5-year plan for deferred maintenance, so we work off of that.
Right.
Things do come up in between that. So at this point, we have no earmarked projects on the
So
table.
this could drop to our bottom line at the end of the
It
fiscal
could.
year,
That-
unless we
unless
encounter some new project we
That
need
is
to
correct.
undertake. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we turn to remarks from any of my fellow trustees. Does anybody have any thoughts that they wish to share this evening?
I'll say something real quick.
Trustee Hatcher.
No, you go.
No, I've already said something. You said something.
Trustee Davis, please.
Thank you very much. Last week, Saturday, I had the opportunity, and as well as Trustee McKnight Morton, Washtenaw Community College. We weren't the host. Okay. Black women in Michigan politics had a luncheon here, which turned out exceptionally well. We had the opportunity to meet a number of African American women throughout the state of Michigan involved in politics. Either they had won their seat or had been in their seat for a number of years, and the energy in the room was quite empowering and uplifting. Got a chance to network and spend money with other African American female vendors. So I would love to see them come back to be on our campus. They enjoyed being here, and I'm happy that our facility, now newly renovated, was able to be a place of aesthetic beauty for the occasion. So that was my weekend, and I'm still beaming off of it because it was just that much energy in the room. So.
How large was that group?
Oh boy, I wish I could give you the exact number, but it was well represented. It was out here in the lobby area, and there were no empty tables.
What was over 200?
300. Was it 300?
300 is the estimate they're throwing around
It
here.
was a lot of us, so it was
Good,
nice.
good.
No, I don't think it's
300.
We'll
go with
stick with 300.
Right.
All right, thank you. Trustee Hatcher?
I just wanted to, probably, Rose is probably going to mention it too, but the there's a liberal arts week coming, October 24th and 28th, and the keynote speakers are Ellie Sabat, who's the Washtenaw County prosecuting attorney, Ari Weiswig, the founder of Zingerman's, and Alicia Pugh, co-founder of P&P Contemporary. So it's going to be a wonderful week highlighting the skills that are needed in the public. No matter what job you have, those liberal arts skills are probably what gets you to keep the job and to be promoted. So it'll be a great, exciting week for the liberal arts, 24th or 28th.
And is that here on campus?
Yeah, it'll be here on campus, and I don't have the details of hour to hour because it has one of those funny little squeaky things.
Oh.
I don't know how to do that.
We can send it to you if you're interested. We'll
Yeah,
send it.
I would.
We'll send
Yeah,
it out.
that would be good.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes. Must have been last Thursday, I was at a SIMCOG General Assembly meeting in Troy, Michigan, at the Michigan State Extension Center. And one of the things that I spoke briefly to Dr. Belanca about is the focus was on transportation and roads. That's a big issue, and funding for it. But the state of Michigan is getting or has a lot of money from the government. I can't tell you now. I wrote it down, but I can't seem to locate it. But it's so that was one issue. They also talked about population, which is in our realm of what we need to know about is population. And this forecast is something that I'm giving to Dr. Belanca, but it shows that the forecast for, I'm going to say, increase in youth or babies being born is not as significant as we think it is. So I just think that at this point in time, the information that is being given, and everyone can see what this information is about. All you have to do is go to simcog.org, and it will give you maps about bikes and trails. It'll give you information about all the transportation, the road work. They're very data-driven. SIMCOG is very, very data-driven. And what you get is something that even the state and federal government uses. So this is very, very important information, especially about us in the education realm and jobs. And the top job right now is, well, it's not farming, I can tell you that. Manufacturing's come down. The construction is right now the top job I see here at 22% up to year 2050. So that's something to know about. Not retail, but housing. I mean, this housing construction, there's so much to be learned from this site that if you want to know something, you'll find it on the simcog.org. Thank you.
In that vein, last month in Traverse City, the National Writers Series lectures took place, and a couple of national authors, Dave Dempsey and Jerry Dennis, have done a lot of writing on the environment and with a focus on the Midwest, the Great Lakes states, and Michigan. Talked about climate change and forest fires and some of the phenomena that other parts of the country are experiencing. And I was in the audience and I listened to this unfold, and then they came back to say to the audience the importance of realizing that with those conditions elsewhere in the country, we're sitting here in the middle of the Great Lakes with an ample water supply, which by the Great Lakes Pact, none of the governors are able to sell to anybody else. It can't be piped out of here. We own it, and it may be an enormous magnet for people to migrate from other parts of the country where they don't have water, semi-arid climate, and that Michigan, in their eyes, wasn't really looking that far ahead to make the necessary preparations for housing, schools, police and fire.
Community colleges.
Okay, I'll give you that too. But it was fascinating in that context to all of a sudden realize that we don't realize what attributes we have sitting here, but a lot of other people may be looking very eagerly at them.
There was a book written last year where a guy did a worldwide analysis, or at least a nationwide analysis of of climate havens, where he anticipated that over the next 10 to 15 years, people would be drawn to because of resources and being on the beneficial side of climate change. And he pinpointed Michigan, the Great Lakes region, from Chicago all the way up to all of the Great Lakes, as being essentially a climate haven that the rest of the world is going to start looking at. Also New England,
Right.
but
Right.
but definitely Michigan.
Right.
Trustee Hatcher?
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I actually did want to mention something which I should definitely say this, two things that I will be at this coming weekend. One is the Haiti Nursing Foundation is doing a program, an annual fundraiser that was on hold during the pandemic, that our nursing students, or nursing staff and students will have a presence at. It's something, it funds a nursing college in Haiti to train nurses in Haiti. And there's been a long time Ann Arbor connection. People in Ann Arbor helped found that college. And Washtenaw Community College nurses will have a presence there. I'll be there with a table myself. And that's Friday night at the Women's City Club, it's just the plain old City Club on Washtenaw, formerly the Women's City Club. And on Saturday, I think here at the Morris Lawrence Building, Washtenaw Literacy is having an annual program, and the community college has a table there, which I will be at, and hopefully other board members here will join me at that table and have a presence from our board of this important area that the community college is helping to address. We have a very successful GED program and are good partners with the Washtenaw Literacy Program, which does a lot with a little because they mobilize hundreds of volunteers.
Thank you.
Right,
Trustee Hatcher?
Just add to that a bit that you don't have to show up, you can also donate.
Right.
I think, just an idea based on the last two comments, that the Economics Club might be very interested in having a demographer or one of these climate haven speakers at one of the Economics Club sessions. I mean, I love demographers. They're just fascinating, and SimCop could help. But I think that would be a great topic at some point for an Economics Club session.
Good suggestion.
Very good, yeah.
President Blanca?
Yes.
Took us a while, but we got back to you.
Well, unfortunately, I will not be able to join you at those two events. I have a family wedding, so just so you know, but I will send in my contribution. First, tonight, the board will be reviewing the capital outlay. We've been giving you pages and, drafts all along. And at our last meeting, I had mentioned to you that we were going to Lansing the very next day. And Vanessa, Brandon, and I did go to Lansing. We did speak to the joint Capital Outlay and Appropriations Committee, where we were able to present our proposal. And I really would like to credit Representative Ronnie Peterson, who spoke in favor of our proposal, as well as Eastern Michigan. It was, Eastern Michigan's proposal. But the great news is, of course, it was approved at that level. That is, who was it said good news and bad news? Was that you, just Brandon? That was the good news. That's step one. After step one, now it has to go to the House, then it goes to the Senate, and then hopefully we'll be successful. But it's really very exciting. So.
How many other parties are at the table
At what table?
applying for these grants?
Of the 28 community colleges, 18 applied for grants. And all 18 were granted them. And those of us that applied for a grant were also received an additional $4 million for, I don't know what that was for, but we get $4 million. And those that didn't apply for the grant received $6 million. Now, this is just a good lesson learned for me. I'm so glad we kept applying for this grant, because in we went out in 2019, it was pre-COVID, we applied for the grant. And then every year we have a decision. We don't have to put it back in. We could just say we're not submitting anything. And they'll tell us, oh, there's no money or whatever. But every year, so thank you, because every year you've approved it, we submitted that grant. Now, if we had it, we wouldn't be in the 18 that were there. So I'm very grateful that we were up there. So it's a good lesson learned for the future. Always submit a grant if you need it. It's because it's 50-50, and 50%. If the college needs it, it's important to always look at the different avenues. So
I know it just triggered me, if you don't mind if I say something. That's one of the things I said at the General Assembly meeting last Thursday, is that, Thursday, that what I said was, in a nutshell, is that I heard everything about transportation, I heard everything about auto industries and roads and whatever else, but I never heard anything about education. And being a educator, former, and a board member of this institution, I felt that something was missing in their people talking about the industries. And I understand we need this. But also, what about us? We need to have a stronger voice at SIMCOG meetings, because you hear so much, but we are not in the forefront because everything else takes over. And I understand the magnitude that they're under, but we still are under. And so I did speak up, and I said, I don't hear anything about education. We need our voices heard. We need funding on the federal, especially the federal level, because it comes down to the state, but the state also. So, this is something that if we can talk to our lobbyists about us to organizations like a SIMCOG. I'm only one person, and there was other educational people there, and nobody said anything until afterwards, because I broke the ice, I guess. But it shouldn't just be one person that makes us, to say something about education in the whole scheme of things, of what's going on right now, trade schools, training, and such. Education is so much a part of where they want to go. They're talking about I'm just saying this, apprenticeships and needing jobs, and because the vacancies. You can tell this is a passion of mine, but I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad you're on it.
Yeah.
It takes one voice.
Yeah, it takes one voice.
So,
and I hear about these things, what's happening, because they're forecasters too. And so they tell you exactly what's going on, excuse me.
Back to the president.
Back to the president.
Okay, but thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much.
We also
Mr.
had
Chair.
coffee with cops, that's back, coffee with a cop, now that we've returned to campus, and it was successful. And Police Chief John Leacher is here, and are you here? Thank you. And he led the event, as well as Deputy Chief Jamie Zeckman and Sergeant Paul Gomez, and it was a huge success, and thank you so much for starting that again. Police Academy graduation, Brandon Tucker, great job. It was remarkable. It's the largest group of graduates, 41 graduates. 36 received badges from law enforcement agencies, which means that they have jobs.
Is Brandon sworn now?
Yeah. It was really, it was very impressive, very well done, and just really an honor when you see how many students have gone through that program. So thank you. We're back on Ann Arbor's. We were back at Ann Arbor Sparks Tech Truck Mobility Row on October 14th. Our Advanced Transportation Center was represented at this event in Ann Arbor, where we promoted something called Mobility Dream Jobs Start Here, and it focused our Ford Mach-E and our auto cybersecurity display. So that was great. I think all the board members know about the photography program that we have for U of M cancer patients. That was beautiful, and it's very touching. And again, we were involved again with our faculty. It's done through the University of Michigan Rocco Cancer Center as part of the Life Images program. And last Saturday, a group of faculty and students conducted a series of special portrait sessions on campus here in our digital media arts photography studio for cancer patients. This is such a touching ongoing partnership with the U of M, and I'd like to thank Don Worthman, faculty member, for coordinating this event. Economic Club, this is one of the favorites. Tim Skubic will be here on November 10th, where he will be discussing the election. So that is always, he's always enjoyable. And lastly, the board has received in your packet today the green folder, rather, the strategic planning update that we give to all the employees when they come back in January of the accomplishments. You already know them because they're part of my evaluation, but you didn't get this nice brochure at the time. So for you to take a look at if you have any questions. And again, I'd like to thank you for serving here and helping, and I'd like to thank the administrators, faculty, and staff for all the work they do. It's an amazing place every day. So I'm grateful.
Thank you. Trustee Hatcher?
Can I ask just a quick question? What happened to all the big trucks?
Which one?
They're still out there.
You mean
They're
for
still
truck
there?
driving
For
school?
truck driving school.
Brandon?
Still there.
They're still there.
Okay.
They were there when I drove in.
Okay.
They were in
I
class, so
missed
that means they were driving?
No, they were in lecture.
Oh, okay.
I missed them. Okay.
And don't each of the board members get a free lesson?
Of
Back in the
course.
semi into those cones?
Oh, my God.
That would be.
I'm just joking.
Only the college president gets.
Oh, all right, enough. That should be very interesting.
Get you certified
gonna
with
go
a
look
commercial
for it.
license.
So we could get you a CDL.
That will be
It
interesting.
would be.
Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Looking at old business now, tab E is a review of the 2024-2028 previously referenced capital outlay plan. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the 5-year capital outlay plan for fiscal years 2024 through 2028 as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear support? I've got support. Is there any discussion?
I have some questions.
Trustee DeBarty?
Is this entirely just the student services building?
Yes.
At the
VP
campus
Bessie,
for-
can you come up and join us too, in case you can help
Yes, but I
answer
might-
some of these?
Yeah, but I might be able to help.
President?
Okay.
I
Oh,
might
So
know
this-
this.
go ahead.
I might know
So
this.
what we're looking at
Give me
is
back up.
entirely the Center for Student Success, or the redo of the student building.
Correct, the project that we're requesting this year.
And there's nothing additional in here other than that.
No, it's to renovate the student center for the Center for Success.
Okay. And if the state, when it gets, I know it's in progress, that $11 million request, 11.5 million, half of the $23 million budget. But if that gets held up or goes down along the way in the Senate or the House or somewhere along the way, if we've approved this, are we on the hook for that full amount, 23 million?
No. Well, we'll have to come back to you to show you the print. If it fails,
Right.
no, we do not have to move forward with it.
I mean, I like the concept,
No, right.
but I also like the fact that the state is in.
Oh, yeah, halfway,
Yeah,
right.
Okay, so those were my primary questions. I kept looking at this, thinking there might be some other capital outlays we would be looking at other than the Center for Student Success, but this is the Center for Student Success, and that's all it is.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Hatcher?
There is mention, though, of an addition to the SC building. Is it the existing footprint of the SC building, or is there an addition to it?
So included would be the concept of a front door. So there would be an additional footprint.
Just at the front door part?
Correct. A three-story addition to the entrance of the student center, correct.
I have a whole lot of questions. The language, and maybe this is language that's popular and will be successful, of calling this an ecosystem and synergistic, seemed a bit over the top to me. But are those the words that the state likes, or yeah, it just bothered me. It seemed almost inappropriate.
Well, it is going to be an ecosystem, and there is going to be synergy between industry.
Well, synergy maybe, but
Universities.
okay. Well, it just
Universities and-
rubbed me the
Yeah,
wrong way.
Can we talk more about that?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can. So we talk in there. They talk about the current completion rate is somewhere around 22%, and the promise is, the quote is, as a result, the college will increase the percentage of students who graduate and increase the percentage of students who successfully transfer. So at the end of 3 years, will somebody look at that? Will the state come back and say, did that happen?
You know, I'm so glad you asked that question, because just so that I'm really kind of proud of this. We sat down before, one last time, and I sat down with Linda, with Vice President Clarence Jennings, with Brandon Tucker, and with Victor Baker, and said, let's look at these questions, because we're gonna have to deliver.
Yeah.
And I wanna make sure we can deliver. How do you think we can deliver, and how will we deliver? And we felt comfortable that we could deliver on that.
But will someone,
Will they check?
will they check?
I don't know if they're gonna check, but I don't wanna take any chances, so we're
Okay.
gonna be able to deliver.
Well, I'll still be a board
Does
member. I'll
that-
try to remember to check, but.
I'll check, because
Okay.
I'm always worried they're gonna ask.
And I have one more question, and that is all the things listed in the hub, in this ecosystem. I guess it's because my husband's a biologist, but anyway, there's nothing new. There's no new program for student success. It's just putting all the student success things in one place. Is that correct?
No, there'll be new programs that'll go along with it. It's just not, this just addresses the capital outlay.
Okay. And could you talk just a little bit more about what the academic lab is?
The academic lab will be, at this point, we're looking at it as a lab where we'll have software where students can learn short-term skill-specific training.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be like the boot camp kind of labs or things of that nature.
It's
very
mentioned
versatile.
in there that that these would be credit situations.
Could be credit, too.
Could be, okay.
It's all purpose.
Okie dokie. Wait a minute. I'm still on. I can't talk to you right now.
Additional questions?
No, I think that answers my question. I'll just emphasize ecosystems as being a little weird.
No, here's my problem. Let me say something.
He has a problem.
You have a problem?
I mean, I'm not an English teacher, but I play one on TV. Over the next 5 years, the college will focus on creating I love jargon, don't get me wrong. Creating an ecosystem, converging, that's my problem, converging student success and economic growth and development. See, when I hear converging, I think there should be a with.
Oh,
Because you're converging two things, but you're converging student success and economic growth, for example, and development by creating. How do you converge by creating? And then we get to a synergistic environment for students and employees. Again, now, synergy is a buzzword. We all love it. It's great. And I think it works there, but I don't understand how you converge student success and economic development by creating a synergistic. Just a comment.
Okay, but you're not questioning the energy.
The energy is wonderful.
Creating
I think it's
this-
wonderful.
that this
I love
building's gonna
creating and I love
create.
synergy.
But
Does
we
anybody
are
read
questioning
it?
the way it was written. Is that correct?
I don't entirely understand what you're doing.
They're creating
I think as you're creating a space for these things to happen.
Yes, because right now, do you know, this
So the
Center for
ecosystem is
Success,
space.
Center for Success, this is like a new concept where, we will have employers, they'll know where to come. We'll have apprenticeships here, we'll have everything's gonna be in here as well as our enrollment, registration. So it's like a lot of energy coming here, converging all this together.
Problem is I never went to business school. That's my problem. Or art history class.
And the Entrepreneurship Center, don't forget, the
Right.
Entrepreneurship Center, do you know, we mentored?
No.
We just mentored those students with HVAC,
Right.
with other fits. That's like a lot of converging going on.
I just don't know what's converging with what is my problem.
Well, Strunk and White might not sanction that language, but I think we know where it's going.
I get it. I do understand.
I guess converging isn't sorry.
Okay,
Any other questions from the trustees about this motion that's in front of us?
I have one more.
Trustee DeBarber.
So I know we haven't done the design yet, but I actually was telling a young person today that this was on my agenda tonight, and the remodeling of the student center into this Center for Student Success. And their question to me was, what's going to happen to that big area where everybody gathers for Magic the Gathering at lunchtime and in the early afternoon? And I had to tell her, I don't know what's going to happen there. So
where is that?
in the
it's,
student center.
Oh, where everybody
it's
hangs
at the
out?
food
Hangs
level.
out.
It's the food
This is
level.
what they care about. This is where they're playing their game.
I know,
Right.
but I gotta give them their money.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, I'm just putting that on the
Thank
table.
you.
That's going to be a question I'm going to ask, because I'm telling you, students love that. They love that area, and whether it's that or other things that they're getting together for there, it's a really central part of young students' lives on this campus. So as we get into the design phase, that's going to be a feature of the Center for Student Success that I'll be looking for, is a gathering area for students to really meet each other and do things that they're interested in that may not be class related.
We support that.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
They'll be converging with everyone.
We have a motion in front of us. Is everyone clear what that is? If so, all in favor say aye.
Is this a roll call?
We're converging on a vote right now.
We need a roll call.
All in favor? Is this a roll call? Sorry. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
In tab F, review of fiscal year 2022 audit. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees receive the FY22 audit as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I've got support. Is there any discussion? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. Tab G in our packet tonight, contract for copy and lease agreement with Copy Center Services. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve a 5-year copier lease agreement along with a 5-year Copy Center and Network Printer Service agreement with Applied Imaging. The copier lease agreement provides for a $1 purchase option at the end of the lease, and Copy Center Service agreement provides for 2 one-year extensions at the college's option. Do I hear a motion?
Support.
And I have support. Is there any discussion on this proposal? Hearing none, all in favor? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is accepted. We're moving now to tab H. The Board of the Lumens Middleware Cloud Contract Amendment. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approves a contract amendment with August Soft for the purchase of Lumens Middleware Cloud, including implementation costs for $52,667. Do I hear a motion?
Support.
A motion and I've got support. Is there any discussion? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes.
And the motion is approved. Thank you. Campus-wide switchgear maintenance contract. It's tab I in the packet tonight. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve a service contract with Utilities Instrumentation Service in the amount of $85,969. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Motion, I have support. Is there any discussion on this matter? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight Morton.
Yes.
The motion is resoundingly approved. Thank you. Now we move to some calendar matters. Revision to the 2022 schedule of board meetings. It's tab J. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees hold their annual fall retreat on November 15th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Fall retreat will be held in the seminar rooms, ML 101, 103, 123, around you, of the Morris Lawrence Building. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Support.
Got a motion and got support. Any discussion on the matter?
Is this in lieu of the November 14th?
It will be right
prior
after.
to.
Prior to. I'm sorry.
One follows in succession. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Milliken,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis. Yes. Treasurer DeVarty,
DeVarty, yes.
Secretary Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Fleming,
Yes.
Trustee Landau,
Yes.
Trustee McKnight.
Yes.
The calendar is accordingly rescheduled. Thank you. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. So moved. If there's support, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for your attendance.